I overheard her planning a getaway with another man the night before she found my engagement ring. I bought a ring to propose to her, but she surprised me by asking for a break in our relationship. When she found out about the ring, she tried to win me back, though it was already far too late. Deep down, after everything that happened, I can only feel fortunate. Things could have ended much worse, but it was still a hard blow. What I do know is that I made the right decision, and I don't regret it. I had been in a relationship with Monica for almost 5 years. We had known each other even before that. We were friends in college, and over time, things naturally progressed until we started dating. After graduating, we decided to take the next step and move in together. We rented an apartment where we lived for 2 years. The relationship, as far as I could see, was stable. We both worked, had our own groups of friends, and also shared common activities. We planned trips, supported each other, and although there were occasional arguments, nothing suggested any serious problems. We were as close as ever. When it came to faithfulness, I never doubted her. There were no reasons to. Neither of us was jealous. There wasn't that obsession with checking each other's phones. And, in fact, if we ever needed to use the others, it was no big deal. That kind of trust was always there. That's why, when I got a significant promotion at my job, I saw it as the perfect opportunity to take the next step. That promotion wasn't just recognition, it also meant a considerable increase in my income. I started thinking about looking for our own house or even the possibility of buying the apartment we were living in. But before any big move, I knew I wanted to propose to her. I had no doubt. I had already spoken to my parents, and they were thrilled. And since we were just a few weeks away from our 5th anniversary, it seemed like the ideal moment. I started planning everything. I wanted it to be something intimate. Just the two of us. I thought about preparing a homemade dinner with good wine, soft music, and candles. I even considered asking one of Monica's friends to keep her busy while I set everything up. The first step, of course, was the ring. I had been saving and wanted something special. I even considered having one custom made, but after visiting several jewelry stores and looking at displays, I saw the perfect ring. It was a 14-karat yellow gold band with 3 small blue sapphires embedded in it. What made it truly special was that Monica had a necklace her grandmother had given her many years ago, a gold chain with 3 sapphires. She adored it and wore it on special occasions. Seeing that ring, I knew I couldn't find anything more fitting, not even by having one made. I didn't hesitate. I bought it right then and there. It cost me $2,200, but I wasn't worried. To me, it was worth every penny if it was for her. I left the jewelry store with the box tucked away safely and a smile on my face, thinking about how happy she would be when I gave it to her. Everything was going smoothly. There was only 1 week left until our anniversary. In my mind, I had it all planned out, what I was going to cook, how I would arrange the apartment, where I would place the candles. I was even thinking about what clothes to wear. But one night, without any warning, Monica told me we needed to talk. We sat down in the living room, and she began to speak in a serious tone, as if she had rehearsed the speech several times. "I've realized that the relationship is a bit stagnant," she said, without looking at me directly. "I feel it would be good for both of us to take some time to think. A break could help us clear our heads and then resume the relationship with more strength." I didn't know what to say. Her words caught me completely by surprise. Just a week before, we had spent a romantic weekend out of town, and there had been no sign that anything was wrong. I just stared at her as she continued talking. She said we needed to expand our horizons, that this experience would make us stronger, that we could set a specific timeframe for the break. She also mentioned that it would be best to live separately during that time, that she could stay at one of her friends' houses. As I listened to her, I could only think of 2 possibilities. The first was that Monica no longer wanted to be with me, and this was her way of ending the relationship without saying it directly. The second was that she wanted to be with someone else but wanted to keep me on the back burner in case things didn't work out with him. Either way, it was clear to me. If she had real doubts about our relationship, then she didn't see me as a potential husband. And if that was the case, there was no point in moving forward, much less getting married. I didn't say anything for a while until I realized she was looking at me and repeating her question. "What do you think?" she insisted. I looked at her and answered calmly. "I think I understand. If you believe this is what's best for you, then I'll accept it." Her face changed instantly. She smiled and hugged me, telling me she knew I would understand because I had always been so supportive. "You'll see, after this, we'll be much stronger," she added. Then she said she would pack her bag to leave for her friend's house the next day. I just told her that in that case, I would sleep on the couch that night. She didn't seem to mind. Later, I went to the bedroom to get some things. Before opening the door, I heard her voice. She was on the phone, and from her tone, there was no doubt it was with a man. "This weekend will be perfect." "Yes, everything's fine now, there won't be any problem," she was saying. "I want to swim in a pool, you take care of the hotel." I stood there, motionless, listening to the rest of the conversation, feeling my stomach churn. That confirmed everything. I didn't need any more proof or an argument that would end in accusations. Let her do what she wanted. As I said, deep down, it was lucky this didn't happen later when things would have been harder to cut off. The next morning, I got up early and got ready for work. Monica had requested a few days off, and now I understood perfectly why. It was obvious she had been planning her great break for a while. During the night, I had thought about what to do, and it all led me to the same conclusion. I had to move out. There was no point in staying in the apartment. Besides, after work, I planned to return the ring that was still in my backpack. She had also gotten up early. I heard her opening and closing drawers, moving things around in the room. It was clear she was preparing for what she saw as her new phase of freedom. As I was putting on my jacket, I was mentally running through a checklist to make sure I had everything I needed for the day. Just then, the bedroom door opened, and Monica came out, staring at me with her mouth agape. In her hand, she held a piece of paper I recognized instantly, the receipt from the jewelry store where I had bought the ring. I had left it in the drawer of my nightstand. That was the one thing I was missing before I could leave. She didn't say anything at first, just waved the paper and opened and closed her mouth as if she didn't know where to start. "Is this real?" she finally asked, her eyes wide. "You bought me a ring. Were you planning to?" She didn't finish the sentence. She threw herself into my arms, hugging me tightly, crying. I tried to push her away and took the receipt from her hands. "Don't worry about this, it's not important anymore," I said. She looked at me seriously as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. "What do you mean it's not important? Tell me the truth. Were you going to propose to me?" There was no reason to deny it anymore. "Yes," I admitted. "I was planning it for our 5th anniversary next week." As soon as I said it, she burst into tears with more intensity, but this time with a smile on her face. "I accept. Yes, I want to marry you." She looked at me with a mixture of euphoria and relief. "Can you show me the ring?" she asked, wiping away her tears with her hands. "It says it has 3 sapphires, like my necklace." I could have ended it all right there, but out of pure malice, I took the small box out of my backpack. I opened it slowly in front of her, but without letting her touch it. Her eyes lit up immediately. I saw one of her hands automatically go to her necklace, stroking the 3 stones she had owned for years. "Oh my God," she whispered, "you had it made for me. I can't believe it, it's beautiful." Then she held out her hand, as if expecting me to put it on her finger. But I snapped the box shut and put the receipt in my pocket. Like I said, none of this matters anymore. I'm going to return it. She stood there, paralyzed, not knowing how to react as I walked out of the apartment. I had barely reached the elevator when I heard her footsteps running down the hallway. The doors were closing, and she was screaming for me not to do it, to wait. But the doors closed, and I was gone. Immediately, she started calling and sending me messages. I turned off my phone. Although I had planned to go to the jewelry store in the afternoon, I decided to go right away. I would apologize at work later. The process was simple. I handed over the ring and the receipt, and they refunded my money. When I turned my phone back on, it was flooded with missed calls and messages from Monica. I didn't read them. What for? I called a friend and asked for his help to pick up my things from the apartment the next day, Saturday. I also thanked him for offering me a place to stay while I looked for a new place to live. That afternoon, when I returned to the apartment, I expected to find it empty. After all, Monica had already made her plans and should have been gone, but to my surprise, she was there. As soon as she saw me, she started talking. "I made a mistake," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I understand you might be hurt, maybe unsure of me, but I realized I was about to make a huge mistake, and since nothing happened, we can fix everything." I just looked at her without saying a word, leaning against the doorframe. "We can pretend yesterday never happened. I'll even help you plan our anniversary now," she continued. "I know it sounded weird, the whole break thing, but now I'm sure I want to be with you." "It's too late for that," I replied without raising my voice. "I already returned the ring. The best thing for you to do is continue with your break and go with whoever you want." She approached me with her hands clasped as if pleading. "Please, don't say that. There's no one else, I was just confused," she insisted. She cried, she begged, she pleaded until I got tired and decided to leave that night. I went to a hotel just to not have to deal with her anymore. The more I thought about everything, the more convinced I was that I had done the right thing. The only thing that hurt was having wasted so many years with a woman like her. And I kept asking myself, over and over, how it had all come to this. Early on Saturday, I met up with my friend to start gathering my things. It was a relief to open the door and see that Monica wasn't there. We started moving quickly. My friend and I filled boxes with my clothes and personal belongings. I wasn't interested in taking everything. Some things we had bought together, and I didn't feel like keeping them. I cleared out my things from the bedroom while he carried the boxes down to the car. A short while later, we were in the kitchen checking if there was anything left for me to take. There were only a couple of boxes left to bring down when I heard the door open. There was Monica, standing in the doorway, looking at the messy apartment. She stood there for a few seconds, as if processing the scene. Then she started asking what I was supposed to be doing. I simply asked my friend in a low voice to take the remaining boxes and wait for me in the car. As Monica approached me, crying, he turned around, picked up the last things, and left. Monica kept talking, her tone a mix of anger and desperation. "What is all this? What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm moving out," I told her calmly. "I've thought things through, and I think it's better if our break is permanent. We each go our own way." She started shaking her head. "No, no. You're rushing things. We can really fix this." Then she handed me a piece of paper. I took it and looked at it. It was a receipt from the same jewelry store where I had bought the ring. "Not all is lost," she said. "I paid for a reservation to make sure no one buys it. I couldn't risk them selling it. A ring you had custom-made for me with so much love." I had never told her I had it custom-made, but I didn't see the need to correct her. Let her believe what she wanted. She kept talking, begging me to give her another chance. I didn't answer her, I just picked up the last box I had. That agitated her even more. "You're being unfair. You're blowing everything out of proportion." And since she wasn't getting what she wanted, she played what I suppose was her last card. "Actually, I never wanted a break," she said, with a tone as if she'd had a revelation. "This was all a test for you." I remained silent, waiting to see how far she would go with her story. I felt like the relationship wasn't moving forward because you weren't proposing to me, so I came up with the break idea to motivate you, but I never actually intended to go anywhere. She said it as if it were a clever confession, as if she truly expected me to thank her for the strategy. She came closer and put the receipt in my shirt pocket. Nothing has happened that justifies you leaving me. Please, forgive me. Let's work on the relationship, she insisted. I opened my mouth to say no, but she interrupted me, turned around, and ran to the bedroom. From there, she said she knew I would do the right thing and locked herself in. I stood there, looking at the receipt she had left me. I couldn't help but smile. At the bottom, in small print, it said, "Non-refundable deposit." I almost laughed out loud. She had just wasted $400 for nothing. I simply crumpled up the paper and let it fall to the floor. I took the box, closed the door, and left. Apparently, her confidence that I would do what she expected didn't last long. As soon as I sat in the car with my friend, we saw her run out of the building, shouting something we couldn't understand. I didn't bother to roll down the window. We left her there and drove away. In the following days, she tried to contact me by all means. She wrote to me on social media, and I blocked her one by one. She showed up outside my work, trying to stop me to talk. I just told her it was all over and continued on my way. She even tried to send some of her friends to make me see reason, but as soon as they started their speech about how she didn't really do anything wrong, I would ignore them and walk away. And I was left with the peace of mind of having acted before things went any further. I had gotten my money back, my peace, and now all that was left was to move on. Update 1. Thanks for your comments. I'm using this post to answer some of the questions I've been asked. Monica is 26 and I am 27. According to what some friends have told me after doing a little digging, it seems she was interested in one of her coworkers. I suppose it's possible the break was so she could sleep with him comfortably, but can I be 100% sure she wasn't unfaithful before? The truth is, I can't. Monica's necklace was a gift from her grandmother before she passed away, a family heirloom that was very valuable to her. The ring I bought was very beautiful, and I chose it precisely because it was a perfect match for the necklace. I thought it would be something meaningful, and it was, but not for the reasons I imagined. As for the apartment, I had my name removed from the lease, and everything was left in Monica's name. If she wanted to continue with the rent, that's her business. And no, she hasn't tried to play the victim with my family or acquaintances. She insists she did nothing wrong, so some people asked me for details about the end of the relationship, but when I explained what happened, everyone in my family supported me. Regarding what Monica has been up to these last few months, the truth is that shortly after the breakup, it seems she concluded that the best thing was to go ahead with her break. I know this because I saw her social media posts with another guy. If she could move on from us so quickly, I figured that was good for her. It was complicated for me because you don't just throw away 5 years with someone without it hurting. But deep down, I was glad it hadn't been much worse. However, I think that moving on was more of a facade than anything else. She recently reappeared near my work. She started walking beside me and asked if we could go get something to eat, but I refused. Still, she started talking right there. She told me she missed me, that knowing what she had lost hit her very hard, and that now she couldn't get me out of her head. She said she had been confused, that she didn't know what she wanted at the time, but that these months apart had made her understand what she had with me. According to her, we were now more mature and had learned from the experience, so we could start over. That we wouldn't act as if nothing had happened, but that this experience would make us stronger as a couple. I hadn't said a word since she started talking until I decided to ask her. But weren't you dating some guy from your office? And I was also told you were with another guy on a trip. And besides, didn't you go to our friend's birthday with a third, different guy? She went silent, as if she didn't expect me to know those details. So I continued. It seems to me that you have much more experience than I do, and I think you should keep experimenting. It seems that's what you enjoy. There wasn't much more to say. At least she doesn't have my new phone number or my new address, and I can only hope she doesn't show up at my work again.